Justice League is directed by Zack Snyder and kind of by Joss Whedon. Finally sees the DC cinematic universe come all together. You have Wonder Woman, you have Batman, Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, and Superman. A little bit. Spoiler, I guess. In the film, they must go head-to-head with the big baddie Steppenwolf, who works for an even bigger baddie, but that is another film for another time. Together, they must learn to fight together to defeat this foe and save the world, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. There were moments in this film that I thought were great, that I thought really captured the team dynamic, that really captured the spirit of the DC heroes I've come to know and love. And then there was every other moment in the movie. It's true what they're saying. This movie really feels like it's missing like a solid hour from its story. And I know what you're saying out there. Well, aren't superhero films too long? Aren't they overstuffed and overblown? And in many cases, you would be right. Batman vs. Superman was like the prime example of that. But it's not the length of a film that matters. It's what the filmmakers choose to do with that running time that matters. And while this film is significantly shorter than like most superhero movies we see released today, it's not to good effect. It just all feels extremely rushed. I mean, the movie literally never pauses to truly develop its characters, to truly develop like the thinly outlined plot that's in this film. I mean, it's so ordinary, it's shocking. I mean, you just know what's going to happen at each and every turn. You know how the movie is going to end. You know going into it exactly what's going to happen because you've seen it all before. And it is desperately, tragically obvious that Warner Brothers is trying to do what Marvel has been doing instead of just trying to do something on their own and original. But the one thing they keep missing is a solid script, a solid story for the characters to live and breathe within. That being said, there were definitely moments in this film that made me feel like a little kid again. Partly because I am a huge Superman fan. Those of you who've been watching my videos for a while have kind of maybe picked up on that. And Superman in this movie is the most Superman we've seen him in the film so far. Henry Cavill really got a chance to be that big blue Boy Scout in the sky that we all know and love Superman as, not this dark, brooding character, which I did enjoy, at least in Man of Steel. I am, of course, a Man of Steel apologist. I loved Man of Steel, but Batman vs. Superman just weighed itself down with just depression. And this movie tried to pick it back up again with a really, really light kind of fun tone. Again, very Marvel-esque, and it really worked for Superman. Doesn't work so much for Batman. Not to say Ben Affleck isn't good in this movie. I really like him in the role, and I'd be very sad to see him leave the role, but it felt like an episode of like the Super Friends. I don't know if you remember that show from the 1960s. I grew up watching reruns of it for sure, and it's those moments where you got to see the heroes just be the heroes in a lighthearted, kind of fun, colorful way that really worked in the movie. That's where the movie really got to take off. But it's the villain and the plot and the pacing and the tone that is just all over the place. I mean, this movie is a big, hot mess. It's definitely a victim of trying to salvage something. You get the feeling that there was a lot more here to work with, that the film was very different, and that they tried to do their best to turn it into something that it was not originally intended to be. But there's one thing about this movie that, for me, took me out of the movie every time it happened on screen, and that is Henry Cavill's upper lip. I'm sure most of you know this by now, but just in case you don't, Henry Cavill is appearing in the 6th Mission Impossible film, in which he wears a mustache. When they did these reshoots, these obviously unplanned reshoots, he was contractually obligated by Paramount Pictures to keep his mustache, and they weren't going to give on that. So Warner Brothers had no choice but to digitally remove his mustache. And it doesn't work at all, guys. It is so painfully obvious that it was a rushed thing, and it does not look good. It looks really sloppy. I mean, the first time you see it in the movie, it is shocking at how dated the CGI looks on his upper lip. And it is so distracting because they clearly reshot most of Superman's scenes. So most of the scenes have that terrible upper CGI lip, and I didn't get to enjoy my favorite DC character like I wanted to because I kept being taken out of the movie, reminded that, oh yeah, the actor had a mustache and they had to remove it, and that will be for all time, and it's not gonna age well. CGI does not age like wine. And I kind of enjoyed the lighter tone they were going for. It's just a shame that they didn't set out with that lighter tone. It again is a clearly modified after the fact product. So the moments that were added in post-production or in the reshoots are very, very, very obvious. All the reshoot stuff just takes me out of the movie, and unfortunately it's a healthy chunk of this movie. And all that being said, I found it quite entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, this movie did not bore me. I found it about 1,000 times more rewatchable than Batman vs. Superman, partly because it is shorter and the pace is much quicker. This movie is really pretty to look at in certain moments. I mean, it's just nothing but explosions, actions, and one-liners, and it's a good time from a certain perspective, from a filmmaking perspective, and if I'm truly critiquing the film on that level, it is a failure. Which leads me to kind of a problem. I mean, how do I rate this movie? I was entertained, I had fun with the movie overall, and I was really happy to see these heroes together in the end. I mean, that's all I was looking for, and I got it in spades. So the movie did that specific part right, but everything else, again, the script, the plot itself, the tone, everything else just didn't really come together to make a cohesive piece. So I guess I can meet somewhere in the middle. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a C+, strictly based on the entertainment value. I don't think anybody's going to go into the movie and be bored, but you will come out disappointed because it's not a great movie. It feels like kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. You can't take it too seriously. There's no real gravitas to it at all. The stakes aren't there. The character development is extremely thin, and in a way that makes you look more forward to the future DC films, but it creates a big gaping hole within this film. So to say the least, guys, I have complex feelings about Justice League, but I hope you watched this review and you were able to determine for yourself whether or not you actually want to spend the money to go see it. If you enjoyed Batman vs. Superman and you enjoyed Man of Steel, then you definitely want to go see this one, because you'll go in with a much more forgiving eye probably than most audiences. But if you hated those two films, then I don't know, maybe give it a try at the same time. It's very different. Tonally, it's very, very different, but the final package is just a mess. So that is it, guys. Go and comment below and tell me what you think about Justice League. Did you love the film? Did you hate the film? What worked for you and what didn't work for you? And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see some more stuff, go click like and subscribe below. And until next time, I'm Late Neversol, keeping you movie healthy. And I gotta wash that taste out of my mouth.